Jerry Brown here. We're Jerry Brown Travels,
Laura here.
and I want to introduce you to Randy. A little bit of the backstory. I met Randy recently, and we were talking about the problems that travelers are having with the getting busted by immigration, possibly thrown in jail. And so Randy was telling me his experience where he did get busted by immigration. Well, Randy, were you in detention or were you in jail?
Right, so it certainly felt like a jail to me. I mean, a big steel door banged shut behind me, there were guards around, and I wasn't going to get out unless they let me out.
Okay, okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the story and what exactly did happen to you. I know it was quite a traumatic situation.
Yeah, so I'd been traveling in Mexico for a month or so by bus because I wanted to see the countryside. And every once in a while the bus would stop and an immigration official would come on and spot check a couple people and we'd be on our way. And so after a month of this, finally it was my turn. And so of course I had my passport. He thumbed through that very quickly and started talking to me in Spanish, which I don't know hardly any Spanish.
Yeah.
And one of the other passengers translated and said, well, he's looking for your visa. I know he said the word visa. But I'd done some research ahead of time and thought, well, you don't need a visa to come to Mexico out of the United States. But in researching this after the whole event, you do need a form called the FMM. That's a temporary authorization to travel in Mexico as a tourist for as much as 180 days, 6 months.
Well, let me ask you, so you didn't think you needed that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was what your research had shown, that you didn't need that.
Right, yeah, so somehow I slipped through a crack there and I didn't know and nobody else caught me until a month later, yeah. So we were traveling, I'd been traveling all night by bus. We got stopped again, this thing happened. I realized, well, I don't have what he wants, and so they took me off the bus. It was just a stop alongside the road. There were no buildings. There was just an awning and a picnic table. And so it was me sitting there with two guards, a guy my age and a real young one. Neither one of them spoke very much English. And of course, I don't speak any Spanish. And during this attempt at conversation, the older guy, and they were both in uniform, had a 20 peso note, and it was folded, and he kept rubbing it like this, like we would do to indicate money or some kind of shady deal or whatever, you know. And but he would never look at me directly. It was like he was doing it to the guard. But we were all sitting at one picnic table, so it was obvious he didn't care that I saw. And I thought, well, this is a bribe situation. But I didn't engage in that. I just thought, nah, I'm not going there. And so this went on for 20 minutes or so, an attempted conversation. He kept rubbing this thing, and then they said, well, we're going to get a supervisor in, and he'll figure it out. Okay, great. So a young lady shows up, 20-something, driving a van, and he does this money display again to all of us. Now there's 4 of us there, 3 guards and me, sitting in a group. You know, we could have played cards. That's how close we were. And so I just like, well, I don't want to see that. I don't know. And so finally they put me in this van, and right away I say, oh, this is a prisoner transport van, because there's heavy duty screen mesh all over everything. And she takes off driving like a maniac. And I have a theory on that, but anyway, potholes and speed bumps, and it was just the wildest ride. And we go into this facility where, you know, the guards open these great big steel doors, another set of big steel doors, and we come sliding up to this building, and then we go in, they get all my stuff in, and never any hostile aggression toward me. There was no weapons on any of them, anything like that. But they were definitely like, you got to do this. And I thought, well, that's what I got to do. And so I go upstairs to this lady who processed me into the facility. And she was very demeaning. I was just another piece of border hopping scum.
Yeah.
They took, I had to give them my belt, had to take my shoes off because they had shoestrings. So I guess I wouldn't commit suicide or whatever, or kill somebody else.
Yeah.
They pushed me through this door, and it was this big steel door. I'll tell you, when that thing banged shut, it was a sound I'll never forget.
Wow.
And you know, when you're I've never been in jail for anything, so this was a brand new experience.
In a
And-
different country, and you don't speak the language.
Different country, don't know customs, culture, or language. What is going on? And so, yeah, I was just ready to blow a gasket and freaking out. And so, they put me through this door, bang shut, and out. One of the guys is way taller than as tall as me, 6 foot plus or whatever. A big tattoo across his forehead, tattoos everywhere, on neck and face and everything. Real lean, big muscles, and I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to have to fight my way through the situation. Like on my toes, waiting for this stuff to happen, and I just was trying to process what is going on here. And they gave me like what I call an essentials kit, which is a couple pieces of toilet paper folded up and a toothbrush, toothpaste, I don't know, some other stuff in this little kit. And then just the clothes on my back. They put all my stuff in storage, like I couldn't have access to my phone or anything else. So there's a lot of ugly stuff happening down in southern Mexico.
Right.
And I thought, well, I got a lot of stuff here. I could disappear out here in the jungle, no one would know, and they could divvy up my stuff, and that'd be the end of that story. That was my main fear, was I would just be taken care of out in the jungle, and they would split my stuff, and that'd be the end of it. So I was wearing flip-flops, jeans, and a t-shirt, and they let me keep my wallet and all my money. And then about 24 hours later, another American came in, same thing, detained. And so he and I got along great. And then...
It must have felt good to be able to have somebody to talk to.
Oh, it was amazing, yeah. For both of us, just to sit down.
You're scared. Both of you guys.
Yeah, just off the chart, uncertainty, and this, just knowing that this could really go horribly wrong, and no one would know. I wasn't able to contact anybody on the way in. I was trying to text. I finally got a text out to my son, but I wasn't able to tell him where I was because I didn't know. And so, as far as anybody coming to rescue me, where would they start looking? No idea.
Right.
So the meals that we had there was 3 meals a day, rice and beans, 3 times a day.
Okay.
Once in a while we get a banana. Once in a while a half a cup of Jello.
Now, how did they treat you? Were they respectful to you? When they were, say giving you the food and stuff like that. Just in your contact with them, were they disrespectful, or were they respectful?
The guards were tried to be as unobtrusive as they possibly. They were just there to keep us from fighting. Didn't want to interact with us at all unless there was something that they had to wade into, fighting or something like that.
So it wasn't like you may see on television where they're interrogating you,
monsters,
or slapping you around, and stuff like that.
I was certainly afraid of that.
Because
of all the media stuff and coming from the U.S. and all that, I was just waiting for it. Just coiled like a spring, and nothing like that happened. Not from either the other detention people or any of the guards. No one. I mean, it was just boring. That was the worst part. It was just boring and uncertainty.
And you didn't have anything to read or
nothing to read. No.
Now, how long were you in all? From when you got picked up till basically when you were released?
6 days.
6 days. Okay.
Yeah. So right at a week.
Okay, that's a long time. 6 days.
Yeah.
So now, what was some of the processing that you had to go through? Did you try to contact, let's say, the American Embassy? Did you was there any way that you could maybe contact family? You say your phone was taken away.
Right.
Did they allow any, that you can make a phone call, or maybe you could text somebody, get your phone back?
Right. So during the processing initially, I said, well, I want to speak to some, consulate or something like that. And so the lady went to another phone in the office and dialed out and then handed the phone to me. That person just said, just cooperate completely, do whatever they ask you to do, sign everything, and that's it. This form they had me sign was a wall of Spanish. I said, well, it's in Spanish. She goes, well, this is Mexico. We do all our forms in Spanish. Yeah, I know, but an interpreter would have been great. Well, they didn't do that.
No.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen from one day to the next. It was just one long day after another. So eventually, one night around midnight, they came and woke me up. I went to the storage room, collected all my stuff, or at least identified it. Yeah, that's my stuff. It was still all there. And then they put me back in the sleeping room. And of course, I didn't sleep at all. And they came and got me again at 4 a.m. And we got all my stuff, got on a van, and headed out. And I got my cell phone back then. I was able to text out and say, I think I'm being released. I'll let you know. A great feeling getting out of that facility, just outside of it. And I thought, I can see light at the end of the tunnel. This is starting to look okay.
Yeah.
And so we get in the van, we drive maybe an hour or so to a very small airport. But the jet was full size, you know, twin engine, big jet, a couple hundred people probably. And so and here's a funny part of it. We get to the ticket counter. I've got all this stuff with me, you know, like a big box full of bicycle and suitcase, blah, blah, blah. And the agent could speak pretty good English. And finally I realized, oh, he wants some extra fees, like extra baggage fees. Right. And I said, well, I'm broke. I don't have anything. And so they started marching me back towards the van like, well, then we're not going to deport you. But they left my stuff there. Oh. And by this time, between me and the other Americans, we'd kind of figured that, well, we're kind of like a liability to them because we're Americans.
Right, right.
And if something bad happens to us, that's not going to go well for them. Right. So I could push out a little bit. So I said, well, I'm just not going anywhere without my stuff. And of course, a translation effort. This took 10 minutes to communicate. And so finally they went back up to the counter, and there was a half dozen guards with me for this event, and they all dug into their own pockets and pooled the money for the extra baggage fees, like around 1,500 pesos that I saw. And of course, they probably got reimbursed from the United States government or whatever, I don't know.
I doubt it, but that's Mexico. You'll get help. And the guards actually were able to pay for your
excess baggage fees.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
It actually was funny even in the moment, even though I was still apprehensive, like what's really going to happen. But that was pretty funny.
That is funny. That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. So they actually deported me with 2 guards, flew me from Ajijic, is where this all actually happened, through Mexico City, then to Houston, Texas. They turned me over to U.S. Immigration, and they walked away. Of course, U.S. Immigration, they didn't have a problem with me. I was just back in the States. And so then when I came back this time, which we're standing in Mexico now, I flew in. And so when you fly in, while you're in the air, the stewardesses will hand out these FMM forms to everybody. Mm-hmm. And you fill it out ahead of time. And so then you've got that started. So when then you walk up to the Mexican immigration officer, you hand him the form, he stamps it, you're in and out very fast.
Yeah, and he'll put how many days that they're going to give you. They gave you 180 days.
Right.
Which was great.
Yeah, so I just keep my FM in my passport.
Yeah. Right.
And so anytime I'm stopped, I just give them the package. There's my passport and the FMM. I'm good to go.
Right. Thank you very much. Wait a minute, before we go, this is an important we're doing advertisement and advertising. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so when I got back to Houston, while it was still fresh in my head, I just tried to write down everything about this 6-day adventure. And so it's in book form now. I'm in the process of getting it loaded up on Amazon so you can read it on your Kindle or whatever. It's called An Illegal Gringo in Old Mexico.
That's great.
So look for that.
Okay, good. And so that's there. I'm going to put a link down below where you can click on it, send you to a place that you can purchase that book. Randy, thank you very much. This has been great. Randy, were you in intention? That's the word. What's the word?
Detention.
Detention.
Don't worry about it.
Every Friday night, 5 p.m. time, California time, a free video. Also, you see my face on the bottom right. Click on it and you'll be subscribed absolutely free. If you're interested in booking a phone consultation with me, on the left-hand side, it says book now. Click on it, it'll send you over to a booking site. Thanks a lot.